going to clarify more on the word lie, error, falsehood. Uh, I made a little simple diagram, and I hope these things work. Just to remember that the truth, which is your real name, that's your God-given name. That's something that is blessed upon you for free. God started the naming process off, so not man. It was God who installed that, and so therefore, when you place your given name into the lie or the fictitious name or the feigned name of the legal state, you're energizing that lie. So it doesn't. This has to plug into this in order for this to work. Now, when you're done this process, you will actually see the paper work. You won't be working for the paper anymore because you've placed yourself in your private position from God into a lie. So you've gone from unalienable to an alienable position, and therefore you've taken on the debt by your own consent. So we're going to read a few scriptures, and I noted a few scriptures that are important for us to look at today. One would be John 8, verse 44. But just prior to that, I feel this at times. I can see or feel what Jesus was experiencing, because many times I've said the same things over and over again, and then people are looking in a dazed and confused situation. I can tell that they haven't absorbed it in. There's something maybe that I haven't said in the proper manner, and that's why I'm doing my utmost to do that right now. But Jesus' words seem very applicable here. He says, why do ye not understand my speech, even because ye cannot hear my word? Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. So we know that the whole world is in the power of the wicked one, but it's different when God's people energize that or become unequally joined, yoked, incorporated with. So it takes your consent to do that. And therefore, we don't want to be attached or be guilty of energizing something that belongs to Satan. Let Satan's world run itself. And I know for most people, they'll feel, well, how would I eat? And how am I going to feed myself? How am I going to clothe myself? And I said, this all comes through when you're understanding the scriptures and all the admonition that God was giving in it. The problem is what we're doing is we're harming ourselves. And everything is done, but you do not see it on the paperwork. And so we're about to go further on this by going to 2Peter 2, verse 18. Very, very important scripture. We've read this before, but we'll start off in verse 3 because we mentioned this before in a previous video about feigned words, but it's good to go over it again. And through covetousness shall they with feigned words make merchandise of you, whose judgment now of a long time lingereth not, and their damnation slumbereth not. Now, we know that we've already discussed that in the legal entity position that you energize, that name or that legal state name that belongs to the public, that is the fictio, which means to feign. So it's a fancy word for a lie. But we go further in verse 18. For when they speak great swelling words of vanity, they allure through the lust of the flesh, through much wantonness, those that were clean escaped from them who live in error. Now remember, those who live in error. So we're going to go to, again, I brought this up in a previous video. It's the UN handbook. I have a little excerpt here from the UN handbook of civil registration and vital statistics systems. And they clearly answer a very, very important point that people would want me to prove which is the last name that is underlined on this document an error under the Vital Statistics Act? Well, we'll go to it. It says, since the registration record is used as proof, it should be safeguarded from changes, which means that the law or its regulations should ban erasures, which means completely taking it out of the way so you don't see it at all, additions, insertions between the lines, etc. Although to allow for the possibility of errors when making entries, formal rules should be enacted to make exceptions for such mistakes in the record itself. For example, by providing that the word that is wrong or superfluous be underlined, the error or omission then being noted at the end before the record is dated and signed by the registrar and informants. So clearly, they're noting that their fiction is an error. We know that Christ did not live in error. Error is a fault, a sin, a blemish, many words to that work with that particular definition. But we're here trying to comprehend that if we are placing our God-given gift into something that's in error, we are living in error. Now, how could I come out of something if I'm not in something? And I would have to have something to take something out of, to leave with, that does not belong to the state. And that's why I'm trying to tell you that the surname was never yours to begin with. Even though you think you may possess it, you really don't possess it. You're just laying claim to it, and it's not yours. So therefore, you're in an adverse position, which requires you to pay for your claim. So if I'm touching something that doesn't belong to me, it would certainly make sense that I would have to pay for it. It would make sense that I would require a license for it to traffic in it. They're only registering a system that has to allow a choice. Now, unfortunately, some of the parents were going to lead their children into this misconception of belief and enter into it. So, of course, they had a given name and a surname line on these documents. But again, what would the child choose? And would he wake up to truth? But because we're going to operate, we're going to have a society that's operated by those that are going to be in the belief of Christ or the non-belief of Christ. They're either going to be part of God's kingdom or they're going to be part of Satan's kingdoms. There had to be a choice factor. So the child never ate from the forbidden fruit on this document. But certainly the state induced the belief that they did have this, because at face value, someone would believe that they had entitlement to the last name. And I'm certainly not going to defend the state on that. But the two have to be there, and the choice has to be there. The parents, of course, were living in error, so they were going to enter their children into error. That's why they were known as informants on the record. They kind of betrayed the privacy of the child to the state. Now, we're going to go to the final scripture, and just give there a second here. We're going to go to 1 John 1:21. So, 1 John chapter 1, verse 21 reads, I have not written unto you because ye know not the truth, but because ye know it, and that no lie is of the truth. So there is no truth in error. You can't have truth. Truth has to be on its own. When you enter it into the error, it becomes error. So there's no truth that originated from that error. It's already there, given to you, but you have to see it. And when you're blinded, you've mixed the two together, so you've entered into the error, and so now you're thinking that there's complete truth there, but there's not. Again, as we said in a previous video, truth plus truth is truth. Truth plus error is error. So read carefully the scriptures that we talked about. Are you going to be of truth or are you going to be of error? And it's all based on your consent.